Hello, good morning, or maybe good afternoon. Thank you very much, all of you joining us from all over the world. We can see that there are students from Uzbekistan, Georgia, Mexico, England, Spain, Portugal, and many more. Please share with us where you're coming from in the chat. So as all of you seen on the right-hand side of your screens, we will be communicating with you and we'll be expecting to have your questions coming up during the session. My name is Pavel Topalov and I'm part of the SRT team. And today I have the pleasure to host this very great webinar, Study in Canada. Together with me today, we have three great institutions from Canada. And let me introduce you to the representatives of the University of Gashancha, Matthew Maroy from the Niagara College, and also Katie McNamara from Carleton University. They will be joining us to say hi to all of you in just a second. And meanwhile, I want to remind you that this session will go with some specific presentations from our speakers today. And after their presentations, we will be covering all of the questions that you share with us in the chat. Hello and welcome, everyone. Thank you, Katya and Alex. And Matthew will be joining us as well. Hi, thank you. I will be giving the floor now to our representative from the University of Winnipeg, Alex, who will give you all a very quick overview about the education in Canada and what it is to be an international student in this great country. Alex, the floor is yours.
All right. Thank you so much, Pavel. Welcome everyone. My name is again Alex Kashanja from the University of Winnipeg. I'm just going to give a fairly brief overview, not so much to repeat what we saw in the video, but just a brief overview of Canada and studying in Canada as an international student. So I was an international student myself. I came to Canada after high school to pursue my undergraduate studies. Now, Canada is a very large country. It's a federation of 10 provinces in 3 territories. Pretty big, but just to give you a little bit of a context, from one end of the country, Victoria, BC, so on the west coast, to the other end of the country, which is St. John's, Newfoundland, it's about 7,000 kilometers, so pretty far. That's about similar to driving from Paris to Afghanistan, Kabul, Afghanistan. So it's a pretty large country, but because it is a big country, there are lots of different opportunities for you, whether you're looking to study at a university, at a college, there are lots of different options that will be available to you. A couple of stereotypes. I think the most common is that it snows or it's cold throughout the year, which is not true. It is cold during the winter, but for example, where I live here in Winnipeg, we have fairly cold winters, but it is summer now. So the last week or so, it's been about 30 degrees every day. So we've got fantastic summers. Yeah, it might be cold in the winter, but there's so much to do, so much to experience in the winter. Now, I came from East Africa. Certainly there's no winter there. And so my first couple of winters were fairly cold, but I realized that life still goes on and there is so much you can do and discover in the winter that for me, I would never have had the opportunity to experience winter if I hadn't come to Canada. Whether you decide to go to a university or college, you are going to be guaranteed a consistently high education. Most of our institutions, so our colleges, universities, are funded publicly, meaning that wherever it is that you decide to go, the degree or diploma that you're going to obtain is going to be recognized throughout the world. There are always going to be opportunities for you to apply what you're learning outside the classroom, and lots of different opportunities for you to do a whole whack of different degrees, programs that fit your interest, okay? There are over 100 universities in Canada, as well as a number of different colleges. I'll let my colleague Matthew talk a little bit about his college and college in general, but whether you decide to choose university or a college, you are, as I said, guaranteed outstanding array of quality assured programs. Oh, I see someone from Afghanistan. Fantastic. Hello, welcome. There are also opportunities to do what is called a co-op or an internship. So it's a good way of combining your studies with real world experience. So certainly when it comes now time for choosing your university, for me, I would say fit is really the big thing. So you've got things to consider, whether you want to go to a large city, a city by the ocean, a city by the mountains, a prairie city like where I am. There are different options for you to study in various provinces here in Canada. So while you are studying, you do have the opportunity to work. So as I mentioned, a co-op, for example, when you are studying and working at the same time, but perhaps you're not doing a formal co-op. So a co-op tends to be, goes hand in hand with your area of studies, but universities and colleges do provide a lot of options for students to work on campus, and as well as you can work off campus, so a maximum of that 20 hours a week during the school year and 40 hours a week during official breaks. So places that international students work on campus, for example, in universities, can be cafeterias, bookstores, athletic centers, all sorts of different opportunities for you to get a bit of work experience. I really encourage you to get that little bit of work experience. And the beauty with studying in a Canadian institution is that, you know, you're able to work on campus, off campus, a few hours during the week, and then full-time during the school years. And that work experience that you obtain while you're a student, that is work experience that you can put on your resume, on your CV. And once you graduate, you can use that work experience to, you know, apply for that first job that you get after you graduate from your institution. So the opportunity to work while you're studying is something that is really beneficial. It's certainly something that I did when I came to university as an international student. In fact, my first job in university was selling posters for, there used to be a company that comes on campuses and they sell various posters, and I was employed to set up this poster exhibition. So a small little job, but I've ended up working at university throughout the time that I've been a student. I've been here in Canada. Canada is also a very tolerant country, diverse. We've got people from all over the world. Rights and freedoms are guaranteed under the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. So it is a safe country. It's a multicultural country. It's a stable country with a diverse economy, meaning that whatever program that you end up studying, you will find opportunities to proceed on, whether you want to continue on with your studies in graduate school or you want to go into the workforce. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to my colleague, Katie. I hope you enjoyed that little brief overview. And then Katie is going to talk about Carleton University, and then we're each going to do a little bit about our own individual institutions. Thank you so much.
Hey, hi everyone. I really hope you enjoyed that video, especially the part with the therapy dogs. That's always everybody's favorite part. I am Katie McNamara, and I'm an International Admissions and Recruitment Officer here at Carleton University. And I'm also a former student of the university myself. So if you have any questions afterwards, I'm super happy to answer those, speaking from my own personal experience. So first off, Alex kindly showed us the map earlier and explained how it is a very large country. So I just wanted to give you a little bit of a sense about where we are located. So we are in Ottawa, which is the capital city of Canada, and you can see it's in between Toronto and Montreal, which are two cities that you may have heard of. We're also located very close to the US border. You can see by the red star there, and it's actually possible to drive there. And we're also super close to the border of Quebec, which is a mainly French-speaking province of Canada. So we'll talk a little bit more about what that means for Ottawa later on. So next up, I just wanted to show you a photo of the city itself. So this is the downtown core. This is about 15 minutes away from our campus by bus. And as I was saying, we're located really, really close to Quebec. It's actually just across that river that you can kind of see in the background there. And that means that many people, I'd actually say the majority of people in Ottawa are bilingual. They speak French and English. So by no means is that a requirement to live in Ottawa or to study at Carleton, but it's just kind of a fun fact because if you're interested in learning French at all, this is a really good place to do it. The city itself, it's about 1 million people in population, but the downtown core, so sort of the area that you're looking at in that photo, it's actually quite small. It's pretty grouped together, so it's easy to navigate, which is nice. If you're coming to a new place, it shouldn't take a huge amount of time for you to get your bearings in the city. So focusing a little bit more on Carleton itself, next up, I really wanted to show you a photo of our campus because the way that it's laid out is actually one of the main reasons that I chose to go to Carleton myself. I really like the fact that we're very much a campus school. And what I mean by that is, as you can see in the photo, everything's kind of grouped together. It's not spread out in different areas of the city. So not only is that convenient, especially if you live on campus, all those residence buildings are grouped there together in the top corner, but it also just gives a really close-knit community feeling because everything happens on campus. Everything happens in this one area. And I really like that for international students because it means that when you arrive, you instantly become part of this community. It's very easy to feel included and to get involved. And on that note as well, we're super lucky to have a lot of diversity on campus. So we're a medium-sized institution by Canadian standards with about 30,000 students, and about 14% of those students are international, and they represent well over 100 different countries. So we're really proud of that as well. And then my final favorite thing about campus that I have to tell you is some of you might be coming from hot countries. And even though I'm from Canada, I'm still not a big fan of the cold winter weather. So if that scares you at all, you can travel underground to all of our buildings without going outside. They are all connected by 5 kilometers of underground heated tunnels. So you can escape the snow all winter long and then just come back up outside once it melts. So now I want to shift our focus to our academic faculties. So we do have 5 different faculties at our university. And as you know, as I'm sure you know, applying to university is mainly exciting because of choosing what you're going to study. You know, you're thinking about your future career path. So we are known as a very comprehensive university. We have a wide variety of programs. So what I'm going to do is flip through each of the faculties. I'll highlight 1 or 2 programs from each. And then if you have more specific questions about a program afterwards, just ask me and I'll be happy to go into some more detail. So first up, we have a big one, which is our Faculty of Arts and Social Sciences. And most of our Bachelor of Arts programs fall under this faculty, and that's the one that I'm going to highlight here. It's a great program if you have a variety of interests because it's very flexible, it's very interdisciplinary. So I'm going to give you a personal example. The program that I did at Carleton was a Bachelor of Arts in Criminology and Criminal Justice. I was also able to add a focus in psychology, and I was also able to take elective courses across 6, 7, 8 different areas. So I also studied things like anthropology, religion, law, sociology. So some of those weren't even directly related to my degree, but I had an interest in them, and I still had that opportunity to learn about them due to the flexibility of this program. So certainly, if you have a lot of different interests, I recommend considering a Bachelor of Arts. Next up, we have our Faculty of Public Affairs. So the main one that I really want to highlight here is our Bachelor of Journalism. If you do a quick Google search about Carleton University, you probably will come across some information about this program because we are very proud to have the oldest school of journalism in Canada. So it's a very well-developed program, very ingrained on campus. And another one that I want to highlight kind of in contrast to that is a much newer program that I think is really interesting. It's called the Bachelor of Media Production and Design. And this program is all about digital storytelling. So if you're somebody who likes technology and you also have a creative side, this could be a really interesting option for you to explore. Next up, we have our Faculty of Engineering Design. This is pretty straightforward and almost speaks for itself, but just to quickly highlight our Bachelor of Engineering program. There's also quite a bit of flexibility here because we have 13 different streams for you to choose from. And I do want to mention that one of those streams is aerospace engineering. And the reason I mention that is because it's one of the only undergraduate aerospace engineering programs in Canada. So it can be a little bit tricky to find. If you really want to be an undergraduate aerospace student, I would definitely recommend reading a little bit more about that on our website. And then next up, we have the Faculty of Science. So one of the ones I would highlight here is our Bachelor of Computer Science because, kind of similar to the Bachelor of Engineering, there are a huge variety of streams to choose from here. So a popular one that students always get excited about is computer game development, which is pretty cool. But the nice thing about the Bachelor of Computer Science is regardless of which stream you choose, you would actually have the option to participate in a work experience. And I'll tell you a little bit more about what that might look like later on. But I do also want to really quickly touch on our Bachelor of Health Sciences because I'm really excited that we have a brand new health sciences building on campus. So even though classes are online right now so that we can practice physical distancing, once we resume in-person classes, those are really exciting facilities to take advantage of if you're somebody who wants to study health sciences. And last but not least, we have our School of Business, and it's called Sprott. There are 2 undergraduate business degrees. We have our Bachelor of Commerce, which is slightly more traditional. So here you can focus on accounting or finance or marketing. And then our Bachelor of International Business is slightly more unique. You get to learn another language. There's 5 options to choose from. And then as part of your program, you'll go do a year abroad and have an international experience in a country where that language is spoken. So a really cool way to immerse yourself in another culture, get international experience, and also perfect your language skills by speaking that language every day. So I had touched on work experience, and we are really big on experiential learning at Carleton, and something that we're always trying to create new opportunities for, because what this allows you to do is actually take what you've learned in the classroom and apply it in a more practical setting. So one of the most popular ways to get work experience is through co-op, which is kind of short form for cooperative education. And this is a full-time paid work experience that's offered through many programs. But there's also a wide variety of other options if you're looking for something shorter term or you want something more research focused. So what I suggest is once you select the program that you want to apply for, take a look at your options and see if you might want to do co-op or if you'd prefer to do something like a practicum or an internship. And we do have a team that can advise you on your options as well to help you make the best choice for you. So if any of this sounded interesting to you, then you'll want to know how to apply. And I did see a question pop up there if it's still possible to apply to some universities for fall 2020. And the answer at Carleton is actually yes. I would suggest you do that as soon as possible to give yourself enough time for processing, but we are still accepting applications to most programs, and you can do that directly through our website, Carleton 360. It's the link, or the address is right there. And you can also apply through OUAC, which allows you to apply to more than one Ontario university. And then there's just a short summary of what's required. But just to kind of give you an idea, the main documents that you'll need are simply your transcripts from all of your previous studies, and then also your English language proficiency test results. So it is a fairly straightforward application. Before I wrap up, one more thing I wanted to touch on are automatic entrance scholarships. So these are merit-based. You can see the grades that you would need and then the amount that would be awarded. And when I say automatic, the great thing about this is that you don't have to make a separate application. So everybody who applies to us gets considered for these as long as they meet the requirements. And if you're eligible for one of these scholarships, we'll simply notify you at the time that you get your offer of admission. So just to wrap it up here, I just want to let you know how to keep in touch with us. You can see all of our social media there. We've been on Instagram Live lately, so it'd be really nice if you could follow us at Carleton Future to see some of the videos that we've been posting and connect with our team. There's also an email address that you can reach us at, the address for our website where you can find all of the information and more that I talked about today. And if you go to that website as well, we're now holding daily online chats. So every day, Monday to Friday from 9 to 4 Eastern time. And I'm usually the person in those chats. So if you do join, say hi, say you met me in the SRT webinar, and look forward to hearing your questions. So now I'm going to pass it over to Niagara College. First, we're going to see a video about their institution, and then my colleague Matthew is going to present to you. Thank you so much.
Hi everyone, welcome and to my exciting basement. Sorry, yes, we are still working from home in Canada, but before I get started, I'd like to give a quick COVID update because I believe it's important. And in Canada, we are definitely on the rebound when it comes to COVID. We're over the worst parts of it, and our bars are opening, our salons are opening, things are opening again as of Friday. Sorry, especially in Ontario. So we are getting better, and we are looking forward to September and things getting back to normal. On that note, my name is Matthew. I'm from Niagara College, Canada. Just a little bit about myself quickly, because it is important. I have been doing this for 12 years, and I've been a student advisor right up to an international manager. I also work in admissions. So why I say that is no matter what school you're going to, just ask questions, okay? We all can answer them on here, whether it's Katie, Alex, or myself. And it's important as an international student, in my experience, to ask questions now. You have us free of charge online, whether it's from a basement or on campus. Ask away. Moving on, I'm going to talk about Niagara College, Canada. As you saw from our video, one thing to keep in mind about our college is we are extremely involved. Most colleges, if not all colleges in Canada, especially Niagara, our students are the center. They work for the college, they run the college, we let them run free in a lot of projects and things, and colleges are very hands-on, and a lot of student experience that comes from that. So let's get started. Why Niagara College? You'll see a lot of stats from a lot of different schools. We are almost, we're getting up to about 4,000 international students. So we're getting to 40, 50%, 94% of our employers are satisfied, which is a huge number. Why that is because we have 100 plus programs, and if a program kind of becomes stagnant or students aren't getting jobs from it, we eliminate it. So it's not like, say, biology, where we keep it around for a century. If we're finding that employers are not hiring these programs, we will eliminate it. On the other end, we do talk to a lot of employers, and if they need things, then we will create it. So a good example is our industrial automation program is one that really need jobs in Canada and especially in Niagara. So we created an industrial automation program for the students. So that's very important because we try to keep our programs up to date. So you'll see programs being eliminated, you see them being added, which is really unconventional for the rest of the world. But in Canada, it's probably for the past 15 years, that's the way we've been going. We try to stay on pace with the job market. Another huge stat for us, and I won't go through all of these, is we have students from over 90 countries. We're very close to Toronto, about an hour away, and I'll get into that later, but we're very diverse in Niagara, much like the Toronto area is. So we believe that you're not going to get the same experience in a classroom if it's students from all your culture. So yeah, students from over 90 countries, very interesting, better education in that regard. Moving on, the number one slide that you're going to see. Out of all of the Ontario colleges, we continually win the award for student satisfaction. And what is this? It's pretty simple. It's a big survey that goes out and students vote on it, and we win almost 4 out of 5 of the past, four times over the past 5 years. The one time we lost it was because of parking, but you're an international student, you won't need a car, so you don't have to worry about parking. But students are our number one priority, and they are satisfied, which makes us very happy in Niagara. Next one is, you'll see a lot of stats from a lot of schools that say what the job rate is after graduation. 8 out of 10 or 82% is very good. That is for all students. What's really important if you're an international student is this. So 8 out of 10 of our international students get employment within 6 months of graduation. Why is that important? Well, as you heard from Alex, Canada lets you work, but we don't give you unlimited time to start working and get that experience, okay? So it is important that you get a job right after you graduate, and within the first 6 months, then you're well on your way to other things such as PR and getting that experience. So as much as the 8 out of 10 is great, that time frame 6 months is even better sometimes for international students. So you do get jobs quickly in Niagara, and there are a lot of jobs out there to get. I'll talk more about our on-campus job opportunities. As Alex said before, you can work on campus during your studies and off campus. We'll talk about that a little later, and it's pretty special with Niagara College. Okay, so got to show a picture of Niagara Falls, right? It's beautiful. It's a safe place. In January, Niagara Falls was voted the top 10 safe tourist destinations in the world, right amongst Amsterdam and Japan and things like that. So it's very safe, and it continues to be safe. And like I said, we're on the rebound for COVID. We're starting to open up again, and things are getting exciting again. I show this is the Canadian Falls right here, and if you look to your left, that's the American Falls, but we don't like to show it. There's a lot of rocks. It's not as beautiful, and we just kind of forget about that one. But our Canadian Falls is very beautiful, and this will literally be 10 minutes from you if you come to Niagara. Okay, the region. Over 12 million tourists per year, and what does that equal? Jobs. Jobs while you're in school. I had a job when I was in university. I had a job when I was in college. It doesn't matter if you're Canadian or international student. School is expensive, and we need jobs. So there's a lot of jobs in Niagara for students. Most of our international students do work. and most of that pay or that salary that they use or that they gain can pay for a lot of things. Like most students pay all their housing and all their food and even maybe some of their tuition on 20 hours a week and things like that. The biggest one here is cost of living. So the college is in Ontario. I'll get more into this later, but we are regulated by the government. So it's not like we have a Harvard and then an Arizona State. We basically, all our education is equal. So I tell students that are really looking into it, choosing the place you live is just as important as choosing the college. The education is phenomenal. Like Alex said before, Canadian education is great. But you have to really be careful on some cities get more expensive than others. So our cost of living in Niagara is low. And you can get a bigger house with your friends or by yourself for rent, for example, for a lot less money. So basically on that note, we are kind of close to Toronto, but we're not too close. So we do have a bus and train that runs there every hour, but you don't have to live in the big city in order to be happy. Most of our students do come to Niagara because they don't want to be in the big city. It's too expensive. It's too busy. I'm really happy that my colleagues aren't from Toronto. Rarely we have a conference where there isn't one school from Toronto, but yeah. I would really recommend living in Niagara. I live here with my kids. I've lived here all my life. Last thing is milder weather. As Katie said, it does get cold here in Niagara. It's cold in the winter and it's really hot in the summer. We are almost the most southern point in Canada. It was 34 degrees, I think, last week, which we did hit a record. So it's very hot. So you won't have a problem and you'll love the 4 seasons. We are located, if you look at the map, very close to the United States border, which also leads to a lot of jobs. And if you do have a US visa, you can go over there and come back in about 10 or 15 minutes. Very close to Toronto, very close to Hamilton, as you can see, kind of in the center of a lot of big cities there. We have 2 campuses. They're very separate in what they provide. So our Welland campus is a lot of medical, advanced technology, fitness, a lot of our engineering. We are Canada's leading college for research. So it is very important to us. We do a lot of research at this campus for different companies, all by students. And yeah, it's a very important. We just received that honor last year. So yeah, Canada's #1 college for research studies for sure. Next is kind of our castle, our Niagara-on-the-Lake campus. I call this one the fun campus. My office is there. There's wineries, there's breweries, there's a lot of things going on. There's 4-star restaurants. There's beekeeping. There's a lot of things that is very student involved there, and it's actually very interesting to see what happens on a daily basis at this campus. And the programs here are business, hospitality, environmental, culinary. Our most popular programs are probably our hospitality and our culinary programs. We're very famous for those in Canada at this campus. The environmental programs are also coming up strong. Canada is very into the environment, and the business of the environment is just keeps increasing in Canada. So lots of jobs in that area as well. So I said I would get back to this. We actually lead all colleges and universities in the number of entrepreneur opportunities on campus. So we do have businesses. So what I mentioned, the restaurant that is run by the students work in it, the winery students or the wine students work in there, the brewery, the same thing. We do make a joke that you can go and have a good lunch, a glass of wine, and basically get a massage and a haircut all in the same day. So these are all open to the public, and you're not limited to 20 hours per week when you're working on campus. So you can work more hours than that. So having all these opportunities is very important for a student, for sure. So, okay, one of the more important slides in here. We really take pride in colleges that we have different exit points. Okay, so if you want to study for 1 year, you can exit and hopefully find a good job with that. A lot of our diplomas are 2 years in length, so you don't have to commit to a 4-year bachelor program at all. They're only 2 years. And what we find is a lot of students say, we'll do the 2-year program, then we'll continue to your 4-year program after. We're finding that a lot of students do get jobs after 2 years. And they simply go to work, they get their experience, and hopefully move down the immigration ladder to become permanent Canadian citizens. So we also have 3-year programs, which we can't fit all the information into 2 years. So we do have to have advanced diplomas in 3-year. Usually have a lot of co-ops and work experience in those 3-year programs. Lastly, we also have bachelor programs. So we have Canada's only bachelor program in hospitality. We have a bachelor program in commerce. So different exit points are really important for our students, and we realize that it's expensive. So committing to, as an international student, committing to 4 years is not necessarily something you can do. So we do have different options for you, and I think Canada is great for that, and Niagara is great for that as well. We do have a student life. Basically, I'm going to talk about student services. My advice to all of you, if you want to be international students, is use these. You're going to have a problem when you get to Canada. Every international student has at least one, and we hope it's very small. We hope it's not a big one, but no matter if it's big or small, use these, whether it's immigration or counseling or getting involved in social activities. These are all free services that the college offers. So if you do come to Canada, use these. Whether it's a problem or you just want to have fun, hey, they're there. Don't be afraid to use them at any time. Housing, all options. So we have residents on campus. I do recommend students stay in homestay, international students. It's really nice to stay with a family. Your English will improve drastically. Your accent will improve drastically. Always taught the family can help you with the region, things like that. A cool program we do have is called Landing Pad, which is only 1 month. So students can come to Canada. They can stay with the family for 1 month. Once they they get into the region and they get familiar with it, then the family can help you find your own place. Or after, if you want to continue living with the family, by all means, go ahead. You can sign with the family for 1 year after that. So it's a really good way to kind of get used to things, and it's a good example of the region and things like that. So landing pad and homestay, I would recommend for sure. Last but not least, check out hashtag #MyNCStory. It's basically from all of our programs, students that have actually done the program. And you can listen to their testimonials and see if they liked it, what they didn't like about it. It's all truth. We recently just did online. You can go to our Facebook page, which is really important. We just did a 72-hour marathon. Yeah, 72 hours straight. We had basically associate deans, myself, admissions, student services, answering all kinds of questions about education in Canada, about anything. So yeah, we went live 72 hours for you. It's all online. So if you like to go check that out, definitely. And last but not least, this is just a blue screen that has our logo on it. Not really important. But on that note, I'm going to hand it back over to Alex, and he's going to give you a little presentation. We'll see a video first. Thank you for having me. Stay safe.
All right, thank you so much, Matthew and Katie. Welcome again, everyone. My name is Alex Kashanja, and I'll go through this presentation, talk a little bit about the University of Winnipeg, which is where I went to school. I also studied in Ontario. And so I have a little bit of experience in a few provinces as an international student. So why Winnipeg? Well, I'll probably say, first of all, where is Winnipeg? I actually didn't know exactly where Winnipeg was until I got here. We are located right in the middle of the country. We're about the 7th largest city in terms of population. So round about equal the halfway point between Vancouver and Toronto. So right in the middle of the country. We are located in the province of Manitoba, and Manitoba has a number of advantages. We've got a strong and diverse economy. Lots of different industries are located in Manitoba. So for example, Boeing, IBM, these are companies that are in the city of Winnipeg. Other companies that are international and also national companies. Because of the fact that we've got a diverse economy means that we are not reliant on one particular industry, meaning that when you come and study in Manitoba, it doesn't really matter what program you're going to get into, there are going to be opportunities for you to work, to advance your career, and perhaps to also, if you want, further your studies. Manitoba also has a fairly affordable cost of living. I think Matthew mentioned that, you know, the choice that where you end up going and where you choose to go, some things to consider, of course, is a cost of living. So just briefly as a comparison, you know, in Winnipeg, we've got a little bit of a lower cost of living. So this was attractive for me when I was choosing to come to study in Winnipeg. So for example, an average one bedroom here in Winnipeg is about $980, which is a little bit lower than some of the larger institutions. Now, larger, I'd say, cities. That being said, you know, university is definitely about fit. And so if cost is a factor, definitely consider going to an institution or a city that works with your particular budget. Finally, our provincial nominee program provides priority assessment stream for international students who wish to remain in Canada and wish to get permanent residency. This is really attractive for those international students who, after completing their studies, they want to remain in Canada as permanent residents. Our provincial nominee program has a dedicated stream for international students who graduated from an institution in Manitoba. So if you choose to come and study at the University of Winnipeg, you can get your 3-year, 4-year degree, and then thereafter apply for the provincial nominee program, which allows you to begin the process of becoming a permanent resident and eventually a citizen. So this is something that I certainly did as an international student, came to Canada, came to the University of Winnipeg, graduated with my degree, applied for the nominee program and carried on and became a permanent resident and eventual citizen of Canada. Now, the University of Winnipeg is located right downtown in the heart of the city, close to all the major attractions. I like to think of Winnipeg as it's a sort of like a medium-sized city, a big city, small city. It's big in the sense that as a 7th largest city by population in Canada, we have everything that a big city would offer: restaurants, museums. This photo here on the top left-hand corner is the MTS Center. So that's where you can go and watch concerts and NHL, watch our Jets play, etc. Of course, some of this I'm saying and I'm remembering the time before COVID. But after COVID, once this pandemic passes, concerts will come back to be a thing. But because we are a large city, we've got things that you'd expect in a large city, but it's small enough that it's easily accessible. So for example, from the MTS Center, where you would, for example, watch our Jets play or watch a concert of your choice, it's only about a 10-minute walk from the University of Winnipeg. Being a downtown campus means that we are close to everything that Winnipeg has to offer. It also is extremely convenient for you to get to and from campus if you end up living in a different part of the city. You will get to experience the 4 seasons in Winnipeg for sure. Most students will be in classes from the fall and winter, but you definitely get to experience the 4 seasons in the city of Winnipeg. Certainly, as I said earlier when I was introducing the presentation about Canada, Winnipeg, we do have slightly colder winters. I think, we start winter a little bit earlier, but winter is really fascinating. There's so much to do. For example, the photo on your top left and the photo on your bottom right is the same river that is frozen in the winter and people skate up and down. I do really enjoy going on the river walk. It cuts my walk, for example, to work by over half. So I just cut across the river rather than going around and over the bridge. So it is fascinating. Lots to do in the fall, in the winter, but we've got some really fantastic summers, which allows students, international students, to experience those 4 distinct seasons. Now, jumping straight into the University of Winnipeg, just some fast facts. We're about 10,000 students, so not so big, not so small, a fairly medium-sized university. Of the 10,000 students, about 1,200 are international students from over 70 countries. There are a whole host of student groups on campus, so this is just a way of me telling you that there are lots of opportunities. There are lots of opportunities to meet people from around the world, to make friends, to have a Canadian experience, to have an experience that is unique to Winnipeg and to the prairies, okay, which are the center of Canada. Our undergraduate studies programs offers 3-year or 4-year bachelor degrees. Now, the University of Winnipeg is primarily an undergraduate university. So what that means is, of the 10,000 students who are studying at the University of Winnipeg, about 85% of them are taking a bachelor's degree. We do offer 3-year bachelor's degrees, which are considered general, strong undergraduate degrees, allow you, for example, to do a 3-year degree in business, and then thereafter, right away, go into the workforce or gain meaningful employment. 4-year degrees are also offered. These are the more traditional bachelor's degrees that open a little bit more doors. So for example, if you were wishing to go into graduate studies or you wanted to participate in some of the more higher level honors type courses, a 4-year bachelor's degree is that traditional 4-year program that you will be able to obtain at the University of Winnipeg. Because we are not a very large university, it means our student professor ratio is about 25:1. So small class sizes give you the benefit of getting to know your professor by name, being able to ask your professor questions in a fairly comfortable environment. Professors at the University of Winnipeg operate on an open door policy, meaning that if you're walking down the hall and you pass your professor's office, his door is open or a door is open, you just need to knock and pose your question. This was something that was very different from me growing up in a country where education is a little bit more rigid, and it was not really encouraged, certainly not in my high school, to be asking a lot of questions, because it came across as if you're questioning your teacher's competence. So I had to get used to it a little bit, but that small environment really helped me understand course material a little bit better, get opportunities outside the classroom by chatting to professors, so whether it was volunteer opportunities or opportunities later on to do a practicum. You can begin your studies in any of our 3 terms, so September, January, or May. Most students will study between September and April, so that's the academic year. And so I would take classes between September and April, and then I would use the summer term to do a practicum or to work full-time, or maybe to take a little bit of time off. But you do have that flexibility of starting your degree and your studies at the University of Winnipeg in any of our 3 terms. And all our programs are direct entry, meaning that you start in whatever it is that you wish to study in right away. Some of our I mentioned we are primarily an undergraduate university, so we do offer programs in 4 faculties: the arts, science, business, and kinesiology. Some of our popular programs include conflict resolution, psychology, business administration. So I graduated with a business degree, and I've got a 2nd degree in conflict resolution. Our sciences offer programs in applied computer science for those students who are wishing to do software engineering, for example. We don't have an engineering program at the University of Winnipeg, but our sciences are those hard and natural sciences: biology, chemistry, biochemistry. Some programs that we offer are not offered in too many institutions. So for example, our Bachelor of Conflict Resolution or our Bachelor of Science in Neuroscience is definitely an example of some programs that are a little bit unique to the University of Winnipeg. We are also the first undergraduate university in Western Canada to offer a Bachelor of Arts in Human Rights, which is a really great preparation for students who are wishing to go into international relations or law, etc., etc. Just want to very, very briefly talk about some professional programs. So for example, medicine, law in Canada, unlike many places in the world, so Canada and the US, medicine, law, these are not first degrees. So you have to have already taken some years at undergraduate studies before you can apply for a professional program such as medicine or law in Canada, okay? The application process at the University of Winnipeg is fairly straightforward. You would be applying directly to the U of W. You review your admission requirements. At this point, I'm going to just briefly give some common admission requirements. I see quite a number of questions in the chat about IB, AP, etc., etc. So for the University of Winnipeg, actually, before I do that, I do want to say it's really, really important that when you're considering a Canadian institution, whether a university or college, you're doing the research for that particular institution's entrance requirements. We are all a little bit different, and so it's really important that you're not assuming one admission requirements will apply across the board. Some common admission requirements, the IB diploma, for example, is something that we use at the University of Winnipeg to allow students to gain admission. So if you're taking the IB, you're completing the IB diploma, that's all you need to present to us. If you're thinking of being considered for any specific entrance scholarship and you've got the IB diploma, you need to have a competitive average of around 32 points. Another common admission question I get and that I've seen in the chat is, our SAT or ACT, is that required? Now, for the University of Winnipeg, no, we don't require any of those standardized tests, the SAT, ACT scores. It is important that you're checking in the different institutions that you're wishing to go into, but generally in Canada, just generally, the SAT is not something that we use very, very common. For the University of Winnipeg, we will base your admission on your highest level of education. So if you're a high school student, we're going to be basing your admission on the high school student credential that you present to us, whether it's IB or you're doing the English or the British pattern system of A-levels, O-levels. That's what we're going to be looking at for you to be admitted to the University of Winnipeg, or you are doing a national curriculum. So you're in Uzbekistan and you're doing that national curriculum, or you're in Afghanistan and you're doing that Afghani curriculum. We are going to be basing your admission on your highest level of education that you have, and generally it will be from high school. In addition, we are also going to be asking you to provide us proof of English language proficiency, and some of the common ways are TOEFL, IELTS. If you're doing an IB English higher level and you've got a minimum of 4, that's one way of showing proof of English language proficiency. I'll talk a little bit about that later in the presentation. Due to COVID right now, we are accepting some additional proof of English language tests. So for example, Duolingo English, IELTS Indicator, these are some that we are temporarily accepting because of the fact that COVID has interrupted a lot of the normal processes that we would be, that students would take in order to meet the English language proficiency. It is an online application, $120 fee. Once you apply online, pay the application fee, you will be requested to provide us with your supporting official documents. So those are transcripts, language tests, etc., etc. Tuition at the University of Winnipeg, because we are a little bit more affordable in Winnipeg, our tuition costs are not that high. You're looking at tuition average between $15,000 and I'd say $15,000 and $18,000. Doesn't matter what program you're taking for 1 year full time, so over 2 terms, say September to April, around about $15,000 to $18,000 Canadian dollars. And then we've got residence, which is extra. There are 3 types of residence. We've got McPheeters Hall, which costs around about 9,000 Canadian dollars, so 8,900. Here you will get a single furnished home with a meal plan. We've got the Balmoral houses, which don't have a meal plan, and so they come at a little bit of a lower cost. And for anyone who wants to do homestay, so that's living with a Canadian family and getting that really immersed Canadian experience with a Canadian family, homestay is an option. Most undergraduate students, though, at the University of Winnipeg will stay in McPheeters Hall or Balmoral houses, and most will only stay for the first year and then move out and live off campus in their second, third, fourth years. Not too many, fantastic question, I see, scholarship program. So great, timely question. So we have a few scholarships available for students who are wishing to study at the University of Winnipeg. The present scholarship for world leaders is a maximum of $5,000 that we give to incoming first international students. And then we've got a couple of scholarships that are dependent on what curriculum you're taking. So if you're doing the AP diploma or the IB diploma or the AP curriculum, we've got a couple of entrance scholarships. We don't have full scholarships at the University of Winnipeg, and the first 3 up here are only for your first year. Don't forget about your second, third, fourth year, because at the University of Winnipeg, once you get into your second year, you can apply for all scholarships that are available to all students, whether Canadian or international. So these are called in-course awards, and they can be up to $10,000. So for me, in my first year as an international student, I didn't have an entrance scholarship. So yes, financially, it was a little bit more expensive, but in my second, third, fourth year, every year I got some kind of scholarship and award. In fact, in my fourth year, I didn't pay any tuition fees. A couple of things I just want to highlight as I'm finishing off my presentation, which will be very, very soon. If you don't meet the English language requirement, I've seen some questions on the chat. What if you don't have IELTS? What if you don't have TOEFL, etc.? We do have an English language full-time program for 14 weeks that you could attend at the University of Winnipeg, and you will be able to meet our English language requirement, as well as transfer at least 6 credit hours or 1 full year course towards an undergraduate program. And also, very briefly, we are one of the few universities in Canada that has a full high school on campus, where you can complete the equivalent of your grade 12 and then transition from our collegiate, it's called the collegiate, the high school at the university, transition from your grade 12 to your undergraduate studies. Okay, thank you so much. I've got my contact information, and I think now it's going to be time for our Q&A.
Thank you very much, Alex. This is Paulo from the SRT team. And thank you very much for asking all these great questions in the chat during our presentation. I would like to invite now our presenters, and I will be reading some of the questions that you have asked us, and we'll try to cover all of them. So, if I can have back on the screen Katie, Matt, and Alex, I will be reading some of the questions that you have received, and I will be giving you the floor to answer some of them, especially if they're very specific to your institution. So a general question received a couple of times in the chat was, is it too late to apply for the fall 2020? Matthew, can you give us an idea about your admission intakes, and is it too late for fall 20 for someone to apply?
I think I'll have to have a double answer here because some universities I know do have deadlines. For colleges mostly, and especially at Niagara, we're very open. So ours is more about capacity. So once a program fills up, you will be placed on a waiting list, but you can apply anytime. If there was an open program and you wanted to come on months before, you can apply then. If there's a program that you want and you're planning on a year or more than a year from now, I suggest applying right now. We don't need transcripts or IELTS at the moment, just apply. And the most important thing is saving your space. So Canada is a very popular place, especially for education. These programs do fill up fast. So apply, get your space in, and we'll ask for documents later, tuition later, transcripts later. But I will hand it over to Katie or Alex to mention maybe some deadlines universities or not.
Okay, and Alex, what is the situation with the fall intake for 2020 with the Winnipeg?
Yeah, with fall intake, right now it would be too late. Our deadline for the fall, guaranteed the admission for the fall for international students is June 2nd.
Okay.
So you can still apply, but as I mentioned in my presentation, what will happen is now you'll be considered for entry to start your studies in January, not the fall, but in the winter.
Okay. And Katie, Anna was answering this question in the chat, but so that we can have everybody on board with the answer, what is the intake situation with Carleton for fall 20?
Yeah, the good news is it's not too late as long as your program doesn't require a portfolio or a supplementary application. Then we're accepting applications for those, so you can see exactly what's open on our website, but it would be most programs.
Thank you. And another question to all of you is, we understood from your presentations that English proficiency is a requirement, and you've mentioned some of the most well-known English tests. Do you also accept Duolingo, for example? Alex?
Yes, so we are temporarily accepting Duolingo for 2020-2021 intake, and we are looking for a minimum of 115, so a score of a minimum of 115 for Duolingo.
Okay, great. And Matthew, do you also accept Duolingo as an option?
I think most institutions had to go that route because the IELTS centers were closed, so we do for sure. Right through to 2021.
Okay, that's great. And Katie, just to confirm, is the Carleton University accepting Duolingo as an English proficiency test?
A lot of our students have been going is the online TOEFL, which is released and is available in most countries. So that's what I would suggest. But if you have any doubts or concerns, just send us an email and I can also help guide you towards your best options.
Okay, great. Another question, because some of the students were asking about the IB requirements and what are the opportunities to get a scholarship based on your IB score. So a question to Katie again. Katie, do you offer any scholarship for IB students? And if so, what are the requirements?
For our automatic entrance scholarships, so you don't have to submit an application. When you submit your grades, we'll automatically assess them. And if you're coming directly from high school, you meet the English language requirements and you have a minimum of 28 points overall, you will automatically be awarded one of our scholarships. And the higher your grades, the higher the scholarship. But starting from 28 points, you would be assured to have a scholarship automatically.
is it available to get a scholarship with Magic for Niagara?
Yeah, you're breaking up there a bit, Alex. I'm not sure. Sorry, Pella, I'm not sure if I can hear you. But yes, we have many scholarships. A lot of our scholarships are based on the region you come from. So, I'm from a region that has a scholarship. You would get automatic $1,000 Canadian, and then if you get a 80 plus average when you come to Canada in your first semester, you'll get another thousand. Our degree scholarships are have a big scholarship. It's based on your average in high school. It does not have to be an IB school at all. So basically, throughout your 4 years, if you maintain a 60 plus average, then you would get $500. A 70 plus, you would get 1,000, and then an 80 plus, you would get 2,000 per semester as long as you maintain that.
Okay, thank you. And Alex, what is the case with you?
So for the University of Winnipeg, the IB entrance scholarship, you will, to be competitive for that scholarship, you should look to be having an average of about 30 IB points. For that entrance scholarship, it's about $2,250. We also give a little bit of money for individual IB courses that you're taking and that you're going to be transferring to the University of Winnipeg for undergraduate credit. So they range from about $100 to $250 per IB course that you take.
Okay, another question to all of you guys, and it's about medicine degree or similar to medical career programs such as health science or similar options. Do any of you has such a career path or such career option that can speak about? Alex, do you know?
Okay, so they're kind of two different things. There's medicine and then there's health related type of programs. So in Canada, different provinces, different universities, they have different rules. But so I'll speak specifically to the University of Winnipeg and in the province of Manitoba. As I mentioned earlier in my general overview or in my presentation, something like medicine in Canada is not a first degree. So if you want to be a medical doctor, you have to have a certain number of years at the undergraduate studies before you can apply into a med school. So if you were to come to the province of Manitoba and you want to study medicine, you can do pre-medicine at the University of Winnipeg, which is a minimum of a 3-year degree, but you can't go into our medical school, so the University of Manitoba's Faculty of Medicine, because the Faculty of Medicine at the University of Manitoba, which is our large institution here in the province of Manitoba, only accepts Canadian citizens or permanent residents. So you'll have to really do your research when it comes to studying medicine in Canada to ensure that you are aware that you have to take a certain number of years first at the undergraduate level, and you do your research to see whether there is a medical school in Canada that will accept you as an international student. Now, in terms of other health-related programs at the University of Winnipeg, certainly some programs in the Faculty of Science, neuroscience, for example, is a program where our graduates have gone on to do some work in psychiatry, for example. They've gone on to upgrade their education. But other than that, we are not too health focused at the UW.
Okay, thank you. And Matt, is there a chance for a student to get medical or pre-med studies at the college?
So Alex is exactly right. The medical studies is a very difficult one for Canada. I mean, you absolutely should have at least a degree before you come to Canada for med school. But if you switch to health studies, it's a very different thing. For example, we have a nursing program. The other thing I'd like to mention, and it's kind of a negative, but many of our programs in Canada, we are regulated that they have to be offered to, the spaces have to be offered to Canadian citizens first. So our nursing program at Niagara, for a quick example, is too populated by Canadian students, so we do not offer it internationally. But what we did do is we started postgraduate nursing certificates. So there's a lot of nurses out there that want to come to Canada. And what this does is if you are a nurse in your home country, or you do have a nursing degree in your home country, you can come and study a 1-year postgraduate with us. And what that leads to is your nursing license in Canada. So that's a pathway that we have that's health related. But yeah, the doctorate and the medical school thing is a very difficult route in Canada, for
Great.
sure.
And Katie, what about you?
Did a great job of summing it up. Essentially, what I would say is if that's the pathway you want to take, you could always come to Carleton and do a Bachelor of Science degree or a Bachelor of Health Sciences degree, and then you can look at your options for medical school, either within Canada, or it might actually be easier and a better option to explore other countries as well, and your undergraduate degree should be affordable to other international institutions.
That's great. As we have quite a lot of questions that in one way or another, the three of you answered them within your presentations. For example, there were a couple of questions about the SAT and ACT requirements of the Canadian institutions. Also, because this is a question which varies from a place to place and university to university, I believe Matt already covered the information about the expected expected money to spend per semester and per year when studying. But can you please just quickly give us an overview? What would be the average expected expenditure per semester at your university, a part of the tuition fee? Matt, if you don't mind going first.
Say, like Alex and I said, it depends on where you live. And instead of just giving you tuition fees, which are also regulated in Ontario, so all the colleges have the same. In Niagara, it's about 30,000 to about 35,000 Canadian dollars, and that would be for one student for a year. So that would include your housing, that would include your food. Once again, Canadian students can work, so you can take a big chunk out of that with a salary. And I mean, you can live more expensive than that, or you can eat noodles every day. It depends, but that's our average in Niagara. It's about 30 to 35,000 Canadian per year per student. That includes tuition, so it's very affordable.
And Katie, what is the average expenditure on your university?
But for some programs, you could be starting around $29,000 per year, and then you can go up to about $38,000. So it really does depend on the program that you're looking at.
Okay, and the University of Winnipeg, Alex?
So for us, if you're looking at a budget which will include your full tuition, an estimate for your books, living on campus, plus a meal plan, you will be looking at about 26,000 Canadian dollars for the year. So that would be your tuition, your various student expenses, and living on campus. So that doesn't include your own personal costs, right? So it depends on how you live, but $26,000 Canadian should do it for you.
I see. That's great. So as we're running out of time, I would like to thank you all for these great presentations. And because we were not really able to cover all of the questions that we've received during the session, we will be sending you the presenters. You will receive all the questions from our audience today. And all of you who have watched us from all over the world, you will get a recording of this session along with the contact details of our speakers, so you can reach out to them directly and ask any specific questions that we were not able to answer. So feel free to reach out to them. All of them are great counselors and recruiters, and they will be happy to help you and provide you with further details. And with this, I would like to say thank you, everyone. It was a pleasure moderating this session. And we hope to see you all in the future SRT webinars. Thank you very much, Alex. Thank you, Matthew. And thank you, Kathy. And To all of you, I wish you a very, very successful and great day ahead. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you,
Thank
everyone.
you. Thanks, everyone.
So, you're looking to study abroad? And you want to go to a country that will offer a wide variety of experiences and exciting work opportunities? Well, Canada might just be the perfect fit for you. With breathtaking landscapes, vibrant cities, and lively cultures, Canadians enjoy a quality of life that is one of the best in the world. We are renowned for our competitive and entrepreneurial economy. Our society is safe and multicultural, which makes Canada the perfect study destination, no matter who you are or where you're from. Plus, we have one of the best education systems in the world. Did you know that 10% of Canadian universities rank in the top 200 best universities worldwide? And since our institutions are publicly funded, high-quality education is consistent across the country. Canada offers more than 15,000 undergraduate and graduate degree programs across the country, and over 8,000 college diplomas, postgraduate certificates, or applied degrees. If you want to hit the labor market quickly, you'll also find a wide range of hands-on programs that will help you do just that. Not sure about your career path? Our Canadian education institutions make it easy for students to switch between study programs. To top that, Canada offers unmatched working opportunities. While many study destinations don't allow international students to work during their studies, in Canada, you can work off campus for up to 20 hours per week and full-time during school breaks. Looking to stay in Canada after your studies? You should know that Canada provides a variety of work permits and immigration programs only available to international graduates, making it easier for you to work and stay in Canada after graduation. Now you're telling me, that's awesome, but how can I find the right education institution for me? It's simple. Just visit educanada.ca and browse the list of college and university programs to find the program that's right for you. A bright future is at your fingertips. Come study in Canada. A world of possibilities awaits.